Underneath the Mistletoe. An Adrienette singer alternate universe Miraculous Ladybug fanfiction. Part 3. It was only days before the concert, and dress rehearsal was going swimmingly. His costume was finished, by virtue of Marinette, who Adrian swore was pure magic, and he and his backup dancers/singers had the routine down perfectly. Truly, it was performance ready. Adrian had always been one to over-prepare, and he was feeling rather good about the concert to come. With a quick flick of his eyes, Adrian checked to see if the trees were sliding in place, so that when the lights flickered and the garland was thrown, he could retrieve the leather jacket and hang up the green suit to be taken backstage. It came in just in time, and the lights went wild. In no time he was in the second outfit, and the idea of a cheering crowd when the change was happening in real life made him giddy. Adrian threw a dazzling smile at the non-existent audience and took a breath to start the next verse. As he had always had to practice with this line, he breathed in an O vowel, and right before he sang the note with a hopefully crystal clear tone, a loud shriek came from backstage. Adrian wasn't the only one who missed the cue. Everyone's eyes went wide before it clicked. Oh God, we need to continue this like it was a real show. By the next measure, Adrian was back to singing his heart out, though it was messier than usual. His mind was panicked with whatever the heck had happened backstage to merit shrieking. In fact, the blonde got increasingly worried, and so did the rest of the cast. The shrieking didn't stop. It came like a siren every minute or two, and it was really messing with the show. Had someone cut their arm off or something? As soon as the final chord was struck, Adrian dropped the microphone, admittedly not very gently, and ran backstage. He caught the looks of some of the dancers whose expression was also saying, "Please, for the love of God, find out why someone's getting killed behind us." Backstage, everyone and everything was in a panic. Clearly there were more people, but Adrian had no idea why. There were people in suits that were not supposed to be backstage at a dress rehearsal for a pop concert. "I swear to God, I will end your entire career." That was the shriek, only this time Adrian could make out the words. Adrian's eyes widened and he ran towards wherever that sound was coming from. Mark my words. It was coming from the back room, Marinette's workspace. Only those cries didn't really sound like the pretty black-haired lady he'd come to adore over the past week. And it would certainly be out of her character to say things like that. Adrian knocked on the door, hearing the conversation stop dead in its tracks. Someone huffed, and there were clicking sounds coming closer. Hey, Adrian, do you need something?" Marinette said, only barely opening the door. Her expression was a weary smile that genuinely concerned him. "I heard," Adrian started to say, but he was cut off by a gasp. The door was wrenched open, and in a flash, he was pulled into the room. His vision was attacked by bright orange feathers that forced him to close his eyes tight, lest he wanted to lose his vision. "Oh my God! I haven't seen you in like so long!" "Oh no!" Adrian cringed. Now that he could clearly hear the voice, he recognized it. And oh no. Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. No. "Adrikins, it's me!" Chloe Bourgeois said. Well, Chloe almost. Fatale shouted excitedly. Adrian was almost choking from her hug. It was suffocatingly tight, just as it was, say, 7 years ago when he last saw her. Out of the corner of his eyes, Adrian saw Marinette's expression change from shock to confusion to almost, dare he wish, jealousy, and then back to fake, tired calmness. Chloe, Adrian said with a polite smile, pulling back to get out of her grasp. The blonde woman didn't take notice of his tries and held on firmly. When was the last time we spoke? Oh my god, was it like 4 years ago? Oh my gosh, we should totally catch up now that we're both in town. Chloe smiled widely. Adrian nodded slowly and finally got out of her arm's reach. Yeah, I'd love to, but, I don't think I have a lot of time with the concert and all, and, I'm leaving when it's over, Adrian said, stealthily walking towards Marinette. Chloe pouted. Aw, but, that's so not fun. You're all work, always have been. It's fine. I completely understand it. We're both such hard workers. I guess, that's why we haven't talked lately, Chloe said with a sigh. Adrian raised a brow at her. Chloe did not like working. She was a model, and her biggest project was walking down a runway with someone's designs on it. She had never been one to put her blood, sweat, and tears into a project. Well, we kind of had a hard time finding time to talk because, you were getting married, Adrian deadpanned. Chloe shrugged. Marriage is such a terrible idea. Benny was such a bore. He's not all fun like you are, Chloe said, waving her hands idly around. If Adrian was a more straightforward person, he'd probably tell her that Benny was known as a documentary voice actor and as the second cousin of a royal consort. Benny, a nice man admittedly, was never pegged as a party animal his entire life. So, what are you doing here? Adrian asked, cutting through Chloe's sweet talk. Chloe grew a harsh glare at Marinette, suddenly and for no reason. I wanted my job back, but, it got stolen by some nameless bore, she said. The familiar cruel bite was in her voice when talking to those she considered less than. It was back and in full force. Adrian frowned deeply and snuck a look at Marinette. Her pretty features had been twisted into a scowl. You quit, Marinette snapped. Chloe scoffed at her. Okay, well, the conditions were unacceptable, Chloe shot back. Marinette raised her brow at Chloe, dubbed heiress to the second biggest fashion name in the world. Okay, we're not just going to throw you into a show when his, Marinette pointed to Adrian, manager had already vetoed it. It was your choice to pull your design and name out of the concert, the seemingly passive woman said with a surprising amount of bite in her voice. Or at least, it was surprising to Adrian. Chloe barely seemed fazed. Adrian made a quick mental note to thank his manager for saying no to such an idea as working with Chloe on stage. Again. Plague, albeit strange, was also a very caring manager, a rarity nowadays. And you really thought it was okay to just disrespect me? Chloe stepped forward towards Marinette in a challenging way. Marinette glared at the blonde. In heels, they were both matched by height, so there was no intimidation. It wasn't our choice. We respect the wishes of Adrian's manager, Marinette said firmly. Chloe almost growled. Fine, but if you think it's even a good idea to let the Chloe B go, then so be it. Have a lame and terribly looking costume. I don't care, Chloe snarled. Flipping her hair, the blonde turned back to leave, but not before looking back with a sickening sweet smile directed towards Adrian. Do call me soon, dear, she said with a wink before huffing away. Adrian groaned and shook his head when the door slammed back closed. Marinette let out a tired sigh and fell into a nearby chair. I'm sorry that had to happen while you were practicing, Marinette said with a small, embarrassed smile. Adrian shook his head. No, it's not like it's one of the things you can control. I see what you mean when you said the last designer threw a fit. Chloe, she's known for her dramatics, Adrian said. Marinette looked at him with a blank expression. Reality TV shows crave her, don't they? She said dryly, making Adrian laugh. Actually, she was offered one back in her high school age. Her father gave that a hard pass, Adrian supplied. Marinette looked not at all surprised. Too bad. It would have had great ratings, she said in a joking manner. Adrian agreed, though Chloe's tantrums were the reason the shows could never be a thing. From an outsider's view, it could be perceived as entertaining. Marinette opened her mouth and then closed it before anything was actually said, confusing Adrian. You can say whatever you were about to say, Adrian said kindly. Marinette looked skeptical but sighed. You two grew up together, right? History there or something? She asked almost nervously. Adrian sighed and nodded slowly. 2 kids of fashion idols. We were forced together as kids, he explained. And then our parents decided, hey, let's make this a way to combine 2 of the most powerful fashion families. So they instructed us to announce ourselves dating and basically said, prepare to be wed, Adrian explained. Marinette went bug-eyed. What? She exclaimed. Adrian nodded in confirmation. Ye God, yeah, their parents were interesting. Actually, that was an understatement. Yep. Then I turned 18 before they could announce it, and I moved away immediately. Marinette winced. Adrian could already tell she was thinking of all the aggressed family drama magazines that followed that move. Many people got interested in the juicy secrets that the aggressed family was hiding. Admittedly, there wasn't many, though. That must not have been fun, but hey, you could have been the husband of the Chloe B, Marinette said with grandioso, referencing Chloe's brand. Adrian's face wrinkled. No thanks, he said flatly. Marinette sent him a sympathetic smile. She checked the time and promptly jumped in panic. I'm late, she cried. Adrian's expression turned to one of concern. The black-haired woman rushed around the room in almost a blur and collected her belongings. I'm sorry about the screaming and, everything with Chloe. Really, I am. I know it was distracting. I'll see you at the concert. You're going to do so good, she rushed with a smile. Unlike Chloe's smile, which was a sultry one with underlying attempts to restart something that was never really there to begin with, Marinette's smile was gentle and kind and genuine. There was no selfish intent, a rare thing for a celebrity to see. Adrian said, feeling himself deflate a little as she left. There was a flash of a memory from 10 years back in Adrian's mind. One with Chloe and a good example of how different of people they were. After Adrian had met Nino, he had snuck Chloe out to meet some of Nino's friends, under the disguise, of course. A boy named Kim had been infatuated with Bella, as Chloe had dubbed herself. He had asked her out on a date, which she promptly said no to. When Adrian asked why, Chloe shrugged and said that it was because she was a goddess to him. Kim was an unknown person. She was a celebrity. It wasn't right. It couldn't work. Chloe B is made for a famous man. One who looks like you, Adrians. Don't get it twisted. We're not typical. Don't even try for people who are, she said with a flounce and laughed as he was left in confusion. Our names light up the sky, okay? Their names are nothing but paper. Nothing on paper. Paper can't compete with the sky. Back then he knew it was wrong. And now he knew just how false that statement was. Because as much as Adrienette was a known name to the world, and as much as an influencer as Adrian was, it didn't matter. Perhaps it was a Christmas miracle that led him to Adrienette, a completely normal but somehow special woman that Adrian was really falling for.